This episode of The Rookie Hunter is sponsored by North Arm Knives. North Arm Knives are handcrafted and sold directly through a father and son team right here in British Columbia. Choose from a selection of outdoor knives, kitchen knives, and the brand new folding knife from northarmknives.com. They ship internationally and guarantee all their work. Callie and I use their products and give them our stamp of approval. Go to northarmknives.com. Hey guys, it's episode 42. This is Rookie Hunter. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Mike Peterson, and as always, my co-host and hunting partner will be joining me, Kelly Mulner, in just a minute here. It's been a long break. We appreciate you guys patiently waiting for another episode. We'll fill you in on all the details if you don't know where I've been and what we've been up to, but we're both very excited to be back and recording another episode and let you know what we're up to. So we're going old school on this episode. We don't have a guest. It's just going to be the two of us, and we're finally doing the Ask Us Anything episode. So we've got a whole pile of questions we're going to try and get through today. And thanks to you guys, to everybody who's submitted your questions. This is kind of a fun episode. We talked about maybe going for a hike and recording this one outdoors or something like that. But I'm actually looking after a farm. I've been here for the past, 2.5, 3 weeks or so. And so I'm going to paint you a little picture. So in front of me, I've got 5 goats hanging out, looking at me through the fence. And there's just one lone sheep out there as well. To my left, you can probably hear them. There's a chicken coop with a bunch of chicks hanging out. And then all around me is just this beautiful, it's an older apple orchard. So that's kind of what's surrounding us, and that's very stereotypical Kelowna. And actually, if I look further up the hill a little ways, just across the road, there's a vineyard. So we're kind of known for wine in this region. So pretty cool. Hope you guys don't mind the background noise. We just thought it'd be fun to do something different for this one. If you want to learn more about Kelly and I and the show, you can go to the website, which is therookihunter.com. There's a whole list of all of our equipment preferences and all kinds of good information, including other podcasts that we enjoy. You can also donate to the show through our website. Just go to the donate button on our homepage. If you don't want to donate, that's totally cool. You can help us out in other ways that also go a long way. You can leave us a rating and a review on iTunes, or you can subscribe. Those things really help us increase our presence in iTunes, which helps more people find the show. So thank you if you're considering doing it, and thank you to those who already have. Sit back, relax, crack a cold beer, and enjoy the Ask Us Anything episode with me, Mike Peterson, and of course, Kelly Mulner. Shall we?
We shall.
Kelly, welcome to the farm.
Hey, thanks. It's pretty nice up here.
It is nice.
It's an amazing evening too.
Yeah, what is it, 7:15 right now? August 2nd. It was a scorcher today. It's pretty smoky out today. Mm-hmm. It's better than it was yesterday. But we're kind of set up with a table in the orchard in the shade right now. The sun's kind of just starting to settle down. And
a bunch of apple trees.
Yeah, of course, we've got cold beer. Kelly, what's on tap?
La Maison by Four Winds.
Yeah.
Big surprise.
Yeah. But yeah, talk about perfect time and place for this beer.
Yeah.
Sitting in an orchard, podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it gets much better than that.
Yeah. What else do we have up here?
Yeah, I kind of, in the intro, I mentioned sort of what our surroundings are.
Oh, okay.
And guys might hear the goats and the chickens. And one thing I noticed just recently is that there's a flight path that goes directly over top of us.
Yeah.
So you might hear a plane here and there, and maybe a few cars, but hey.
A huge flock of birds just went overhead too, about 300 of them.
So hopefully it's mainly nature sounds, but you might hear a little bit of everything tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the goats make odd sounds, so if you hear anything, it's probably them.
They make a weird spitting sound.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with that, but... So yeah, I didn't mention what I'm looking after. So there's a whole whack of chickens over here, 5 goats and 1 sheep, and then we've got 3 horses. Was there only 2 when you were up here last time?
2.
Yeah, there's a third one now, a male.
Huh.
And then there's 3 dogs, and then my dogs. We've got 4. I think that's it. But
yeah,
it's a handful. It's fun though.
Yeah, it's sweet up here.
At one point they had a few pigs. they've since harvested those, and I've been talking to them actually about and I've mentioned it to you about sharing a pig, and we could do that up here, which would be kind of cool.
I'm
just
into it.
Try it once, and
it's pretty close too. Like, you can come up and check him out.
Yeah.
See how he's doing. You can name him.
And apparently, it only takes like 8 months to bring it to a point where it's ready to be.
Oh, okay.
They just grow like crazy.
Right.
So it's pretty.
And we can do all that ourselves.
Yeah.
Cool.
They brought in some of the stuff to be cut into like bacon and all that kind of shit, but
nice.
Yeah. So that might be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Cal, what's new? It's been when was the last episode we released? Like 6 weeks ago, probably.
I don't know. I feel like it could have been even longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We've just been keeping busy. A lot going on with work, and it's been a crazy summer. It's super dry. Like, I don't think we've had rain for the last 6 weeks.
No.
I don't remember what rain feels like, which is not a good thing because half the province is on fire, and it's been on fire for a long time. So
fire, I think, is going to be something that we're going to be talking about possibly on a future episode, and it's a timely topic now.
I mean, from an ecosystem perspective, it's great, but from cities, and it seems to affect the people's houses eventually, and we've been putting out fires so well for so long that I think the danger levels, like when that fire starts, it's actually, there's way more fuel now, so it's way more dangerous.
So we've kind of created this problem that we're in now, combined with warmer temperatures, and I think we're actually supposed to like break some. They're thinking we're going to break heat records for August in throughout BC, and like Vancouver's supposed to get crazy hot too. So, so that combined with a forest full of fuel, because we keep knocking these fires down for the last 40 years or whatever. It's crazy.
And in some cases, people not paying attention to what they're doing out there, right?
And we've had some arson shit going on here.
In Kelowna specifically.
Purposely lighting stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, right behind the recording studio, some guy was lighting shrubs on fire. Crazy.
Yeah.
Stupid.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So,
that's kind of the big thing in BC right now. Kelowna, we are at risk of flooding in the spring. Remember?
It's funny because
it's gone from one extreme to the other.
Before I left for Spain, like the water was just starting to lower, but the creeks were still pretty full and stuff like that. So to leave for 3 weeks and then come back and then look at like Mission Creek was crazy, because it was a raging river, Mission Creek, and then to come back and now it's just down to its normal little trickle, and you can walk through it and it'd be up to your ankles or whatever. So pretty wild. And then you come back to the smoke and everything like that, and crazy.
Yeah.
So, I guess the biggest delay in us doing the podcast was because I was touring through Portugal and Spain, which was amazing. I won't bore you with too many details, but if you're looking for a trip to Europe, that's pretty cost effective. Those two countries, like unreal, as far as like what you can get for amazing food and wine and drinks and everything, like dirt cheap. It was crazy.
More so Portugal versus Spain, or is
both?
It about the same?
Portugal was probably a little bit cheaper, but still like pretty comparable.
Cool.
Yeah. And then of course when you get into Portugal, you're dealing with lots of meat and fish and that kind of stuff, and like heavy meals, but like the way they do it in like Europe, I admire, because like a night of eating and drinking is not an hour and a half in a restaurant. It's like 3 hours at least. And then so you're walking to your restaurant, you're there for a long time, and then you're walking back, so you get like time to kind of like digest and burn it off. And
even the alcohol, it doesn't hit you as hard. Like, you don't get a hangover.
I've never drank so much in my life. Not like at one time. There was certain nights where we like had a lot more than maybe we should have, but like never feeling hungover because of the way you sort of like consume your food and drink, and also exercising. It's just pretty cool.
I love too when you're over there, and a lot of countries like Spain, Portugal, Italy, they don't rush you out of the restaurant. Like they value you just sitting there. You can sit there with one bottle of wine or 6 or whatever, and
Yeah.
and you just sit there for 4 hours. Nobody will come and say, "Do you want your check?"
You have to wave them down.
wave them down.
Yeah. And it was funny because like the first couple nights we were in Madrid, going to restaurants, they're like, "What the fuck? Why aren't they bringing us our bill?"
Yeah.
Like, because they're super helpful when like, when you first sit down, they take your order and they're good. But then if you want to keep things coming, you have to like totally wave them in. But otherwise, they'll just leave you alone if you just want to hang out.
Yeah.
It's not like here where they're kind of like, throw the bill down on the table and they're sort of pushing you out like as fast as they can to turn over the restaurant. It's totally different. So
yeah, it's cool for sure.
eating is definitely an experience. And we had like the jamon iberico that Hank Shaw had mentioned. And they take their food serious over there.
Was it everything you thought it was going to be?
Oh yeah, it was
Nice.
great, man. It was awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah, that was some good cheeses and stuff like that. Was all sort of done in the area. And the wine was like absolutely amazing and dirt cheap. Crazy.
And they have, I think they have good hunting over there too. But
They do, yeah.
This was obviously more of a vacation.
Yeah.
But
You and I will go back.
yeah. So they have ibex and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stags probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all there and lots of fishing and stuff too. So
Yeah, the fishing for sure.
yeah, there was one area we stayed at in the sort of like the southern tip of Portugal, and we stayed at this really cool Airbnb that was sort of like on a farm, and there's sort of like the last generation of Portuguese farmers that had these cattle that they would sort of herd through the valley. And they would always sort of end up around us at nighttime, which is really cool because they had their cowbells on. So it was like a chorus of cowbells you'd hear like out in the field.
Nice.
Like the most relaxing sound you've ever heard. But anyways, I was kind of hoping with this spot, because it was kind of like out in the sticks a little bit, that the guy who owned it would be into hunting, but he was not into hunting at all. So, but he was telling me that there's all kinds of stuff in there. So
cool.
we're trying to bring back cats like cougars and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because things are sort of out of balance there, but people, it's the same issues we have here.
Yep.
So people don't want those predators around, and always gets complicated. But yeah, it was super interesting and beautiful place to travel.
Yeah, it sounds like it was great.
Yeah. What else have we been up to? So when I got back, I've been kind of busy at the farm here and tying up things with the studio, which is a whole other topic of conversation we won't get into. But
well, yeah. So just a change in scenery.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what else?
We sort of reunited, I don't know, not too long ago here, and you and I did a race on the weekend here.
Oh yeah, we did another mech race.
Yeah.
So you kind of pressured me into that one. I probably would have skipped it because I was just coming back from Vancouver, but no, that was great.
Yeah.
It always, the night before and even the morning of, I'm kind of like, oh, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
So much energy.
Fucking bug.
I haven't been training as much as I'd like for, running.
Yeah, me neither, especially because travel got in the way, but...
Yeah, but then you get there and everybody's there and warming up and you just go. Yeah. Once you're going, it's nothing else. Yeah. You don't think, right?
Like, you and I were kind of texting back and forth because neither of us were really feeling prepared, but I signed up anyways just because, just do it, don't think about it kind of thing. But, when you get there, there's, the excitement of the start is always fun. Just, kind of looking around at everybody, seeing who's who's going to get in front of you, who you might be able to pass and all that kind of stuff. But also it's putting yourself into a situation where you're going to be challenged mentally, which translates into situations you're going to be in hunting as well, right? So I figure the more we put ourselves in those types of situations, the better it's going to serve us. And you kind of know what your capabilities are in certain situations. And mental power, I think, can really push you through some unforeseen things that might come up in a hunt. So that's why we do it.
Yep.
And we've been, you and Garrett were making some pretty serious hunting plans while I was gone. So I was out of the loop and you guys brought me back up to speed and we're going north.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
For real this time. We've changed. This is the third.
We flip back and forth.
Yeah.
well, we were originally planning to go up north, more of a Region 6 thing.
Yeah.
And then we kind of said, well, let's hold off on that. We'll do it again, but when we have a different access point, because it's very hard to hike into some of those places.
Yeah,
from
we're
the
gonna
highway.
fly,
So what we're gonna do is go into a park near the Okanagan. We didn't get any LEHs for that spot, so then we shifted back to north.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, Region 7 type stone sheep hunt.
Yeah.
And hike-in situation, not a fly-in or a
Yeah.
riverboat. So it's just a lot of stuff to plan, and Garrett and I were talking about a lot of stuff. We did narrow it down to a general area, but within that, we've kind of flipped back and forth 3 or 4 times, but it's not like that's impacting the trip at all. It's just trying to find that best spot. And we made a lot of contacts over the past few months, just even in relation to sheep hunting.
Yeah.
And talking to them about sheep in particular is helping us kind of dial down that
For sure.
area.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm feeling good about it.
Me
I feel
too.
good about the. There's a couple options that we can go in. 10 kilometers. We can go in 20 kilometers.
Yeah.
We can go in 30. There's options at each level. So because we haven't done this before, I think as we're in the moment, we can kind of make those decisions like, okay, that wasn't bad. Let's go to the next one or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Get on the trail early, kind of watch our watches and
yeah.
see how we're doing for time, how we're feeling, and then consider that hike back with meat as well, or having to do 2 trips and what that's going to feel like. So,
yep. Exactly.
So not getting carried away is going to be key, because it's easy to get excited and, plow in there, but I don't think we're going to run into people. Maybe 1 or 2. Maybe, I don't know.
What is important there is just Google Earthing the hell out of what you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of drawing paths everywhere and measuring out what your distance is to each peak and looking at altitude changes on that path that you drew and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not going to know everything before you get there, but at least it gives you an idea of kind of what your options are.
Yeah, for sure.
So
nice. Anything else you want to?
Well, have we podcasted since our logo changed?
No.
We kind of just
go over that.
Yeah, we kind of changed it. We didn't really mention it.
So, what are your thoughts on the new logo, Cal? We put a lot of thought. We changed it about 1 million times.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of had you don't want to change your brand too much. I think we're building one that relates to a specific group. Yeah. Which is awesome. Just wanted to have kind of our own logo, and the last one was a little bit of a Photoshop job. Yeah. That we did, but yeah, as far as the logo goes, I think the choice of animal is interesting. Yeah. And I think we wanted something that kind of resembled BC. Mm-hmm. And we have a couple different species of caribou here, I believe. And it also speaks to the conservation aspect, because exactly the woodland caribou especially are not having a easy go at it right now with the wolves, and we've talked all about that situation. I don't know. I think that pretty well sums it up. It's just sort of, we wanted something, like you said, that represents BC and also conservation and wildlife, and it's a little bit original too, right? You don't see too many caribou. No. You see a lot of elk and deer and things like that. But I think like grizzly bear, moose, caribou, sheep, those are kind of the big animals that speak to me up here in BC, even though, a lot of other places have them too, but it's just, they're pretty abundant up here. Yeah, for sure. And that's also a hunt we have our, set as a goal and something we want to do. Exactly. Up north, and there's something about caribou that is very interesting. So they're majestic in a certain way, and hopefully they stick around. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I'm happy with, like, I don't know how many different logos we went through, and kept simplifying it and trying to get something that we felt represented both of us and the podcast and everything else. So Liz Rainey was the artist that did that one for us, and she was very patient with us. Yeah, for sure. Thanks to her. Yeah. So
Yeah, so I'm happy with it. We haven't really, no one's really mentioned it. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'd be curious to hear what you guys think. If you're a long-time listener and you remember what the old one looked like, then let us know if you dig it or not. If you don't dig it, then too bad. It's here to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the Ask Us Anything episode. And I want to quickly sort of give some shout-outs to some folks that left us ratings and reviews. Kelly's frantically reaching for the next beer because his is already out. So in the States, I'll just rattle off sort of 3 recent ones. C. Skinner 12 left us a review. NJ Upland Hunter and CK Bailey 97. Thanks, guys. We do need some more help in the American iTunes store, but cheers to you guys for doing that.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, the Canadian one is like been super awesome. Ryan Northcott left us one. Actually, that was today. So thanks, Ryan. Poco Jeff 15, Overridge 33, and Alex PDHJ. The iTunes rating names are always interesting. So there you have it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the ratings and reviews. It smells like weed.
It's this beer.
Is it?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's Yukon Brewing Gold Panner Golden Ale.
So
and it does have like a Heineken type smell.
Yeah.
We're going to taste it.
Taste it right now. Let me know. How is it?
Oh, it's good.
It's good.
You know what? I think any beer sitting right in this spot is going to taste amazing.
Yeah.
But it is, it's much different than the La Maison. This beer is much more kind of like your Stella.
Mm.
So if you like Stella, you'll like this.
Sweet. I do enjoy a Stella in the summertime, so
For sure.
I got to finish mine off and I'll switch.
And where did this beer come from?
Yeah, so that came from Adam Yonke from Beyond the Kill and Journal of Mountain Hunting. And brought that one out as a reminder because the Journal of Mountain Hunting has actually gone to print, which is pretty cool. So it's been an online e-zine up until now. And it's been well received. Like even before we knew Adam personally, we would go onto the website and there's so many good articles from so many different guys on there. It's just like full of good information. So search out the Journal of Mountain Hunting. If you're not a print guy, then obviously just subscribe to the e-zine because I believe it's free.
Yeah.
And then if you like the hard copy edition, then you get signed up for that too.
I think the cool thing about the hard copy edition, and I don't have a copy yet, but is the photography. It's.
Yeah.
I think he said that it's basically like a coffee table book,
Right.
in the quality and of the pictures and the print, and then it's all the articles and stuff. That,
For sure.
A lot of them from the website. So just the presentation is really cool.
Yeah, he takes that stuff really seriously, and he doesn't just publish anything. It's got to have the whole package to it as far as a good story and good photography and really outlining the story of the journey and the adventure and everything that's involved with hunting. So Adam's doing good stuff, and now that he's here in Kelowna, you can probably expect us to be doing more stuff together and, hearing him on our podcast and on his too, I think. So we've got some fun stuff that we've been chatting about doing. So stay tuned for more of that stuff. We'll see where that leads. But congrats to Adam for launching that. I'm excited to see it.
For sure.
Ask us anything. Should we get into it?
Let's do it.
We got a whole whack of questions here. So one question we get often, and this wasn't really one that was submitted through email or anything like that. It's sort of just like a general question that you and I both get when we talk to people, because still a lot of people don't really know that we hunt, and it's, why do you hunt? So Kelly, why do you hunt? It's a hard question to answer because there's so many angles you can look at it from, but
yeah. I mean, the one thing is just the activity of planning, getting out there, being out there with your buddies, the situations that you find yourself in, and the I guess landscapes are just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So that in itself is crazy. And you could say, well, yeah, you could do that just by hiking and backpacking, which is true. But if you're hiking and backpacking, you're normally on the trail, that kind of thing. I think hunting kind of forces you to go into valleys that you might not have gone into.
Yeah.
You start bushwhacking, you get to places that you feel like maybe nobody else has even set foot on.
Yeah.
So that's a big one for me.
And you're out there at different times too, right?
Yeah.
Like you're out there before the sun comes up and that.
Exactly. So you see more animals because you're out there when they're moving around.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you're not, and the control over the food too. Like I'm not going to say that all the meat I eat comes from our hunting expeditions. It would be nice to get there one day, but I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't enjoy a steak.
Yep. Just
a normal steak once in a while or whatever. But it's nice to know that a large portion of your meat can come from an organic, wild source. Right?
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that was it's hard to kind of put myself back in time and think about like what the main reasons were, but food was something that was very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And harvesting it myself and like knowing where it came from and having a story behind it and all that stuff was important to me. And it becomes even more true when it actually happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just, you can't put words into it.
Mm-hmm.
But, getting it like away from that side of it, I love the routine of like the night before we go for a hunt, like setting out all my gear, laying it all out, getting my pack ready, kind of going through my list.
Yep.
You
don't know what's going to happen, right?
I get my like coffee like ground up and ready to go, and I actually go so that I don't wake Ashley up because we're going out at like ridiculous hours. I actually put like a kettle and my French press and everything in the garage. So I get changed in the garage and that. Like I've got everything ready to go down there.
Nice.
Flick the kettle on, get the coffee going and stuff like that. And then you hit the road and you're like the only car on the road. And I usually put some tunes on, throw on some Sturgill Simpson or something like that. It's kind of the good luck music to listen to. And
hopes are high.
Yeah, it's exciting and you just don't know what the day's going to bring. So that's probably one of the things I enjoy.
That's
most.
What I love about fishing too is like you get up, you're going to get up early in the morning, you're out on the lake, it's amazing out there, but you just don't know when that big fish is going to right? And you're just thinking about that the night before, and so it's the same as hunting, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool thing. I like to go back to the fitness side of it too.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go to the gym quite a bit, but I kind of fell out of that. I went through spurts. Like I go 4 to 5 months, and then I'd be out of there 4 to 5 months. And it's cool to start running or get a routine going with something else, but it's hard.
Yeah.
So with something like this, it's almost like a full-blown lifestyle change, because if you're going to hunt in the fall and you're going to do, say, a sheep hunt or something, you can't just wait until the fall and decide, I'm going to start getting in shape, right? So it gives you this underlying motivation to eat better, get out there and exercise through the whole year, not just when you're hunting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think this year I'm probably in the best shape that I've ever been in. There's still lots of room to get in better shape, but I feel like way healthier than I've ever been, which is cool at 32 years old to know that there's still room to improve your body and your health and stuff like that. So that's huge for me. And that's not important for everybody who hunts. Some people just like to get out there on a quad or in a truck, and that's totally fine too. It's totally what's up to you, but different for us. And that's kind of the whole reason why we do it. I think it's just that extra push and motivation to be healthy.
For sure.
Yeah. I think that's a question we could talk about forever, but
that's an episode in itself.
Yeah. I think, if somebody's curious about it, the only thing I can usually say is that you have to just do it. And you most likely are going to love it. You might not.
Yeah. It kind of depends who you go with too, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough if you're starting by yourself, but if you got some buddies that are going out and everybody has their own style of hunting, so try to find some friends that, you have an idea what you want to do.
Yeah.
Try to do it with those people that are doing the same thing.
For sure.
And I think you'll surprise yourself if you're just kind of hesitating.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The next one we have, and this has been asked to us countless times, is our top equipment recommendations. And we've gone over this on a few different podcasts, but you're losing your headphones?
No, just an adjustment.
No. People are jumping into the podcast at different times, and they might not have heard all 40 episodes or whatever we got now. So we can quickly go over that. Do you got any top picks?
New gear. I have to say backpack.
Oh, no, your top gear picks.
Top gear picks?
Yeah. Like, narrow it down to 3 essential things that you would recommend to somebody.
Like specific brand.
Well, so somebody's getting into hunting, let's say, right? They usually want to know, what do I need right now? What do you recommend?
A weapon.
A weapon? That's good. That kind of goes without saying, but I think it comes down to boots. Good boots.
Optics.
And optics.
At least binos.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. And a pack.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need to, get the animal out of there or get your gear in there.
Yeah, and your situation is kind of a good one. We can come back to your new purchase while we're talking about gear. But you did buy a pack that was decent, but you grew out of that pack in a hurry because you sort of evolved as a hunter and you needed something bigger.
So the pack I bought was about 3,600 cubic inch. And, it's fine for a day hunt and maybe an overnighter, depending on how far you're going in. But with this hunt coming up, going up north and trying to get into more 3, 4, this one will probably be more like a 7-day trip. It kind of hit me pretty hard that I'm going to need a new pack. So I sold that one. I kept pretty good care of it, so that's just an FYI. If you're getting into something, you are going to thrash your gear sometimes. It's just the way it is. But if you know you're going to one day upgrade your pack or whatever, try to take care of it. You'll get at least half of the money back.
Yeah.
I did anyways, and you put that towards something else. And now I got a big Kafaru pack that is amazing. It's a beast.
Yeah.
It's about 6-7 pounds with all the accessories and frame and everything on there. And if I put all the pockets on, it's 9,500 cubic inch.
Nice.
And if I take all the extra pockets and lids off, if it's just the bag, it's the Argali bag.
Yeah.
It's 7,000 cubic inch.
Nice.
And the belt, the frame, I'm going to be able to put more than I can carry into that thing. So I have no concerns. I could probably do a 10, 12 day hunt in that thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Aaron Snyder was helping you through that whole process. And did you end up talking to Frank as well? With Kafaru?
Well, I talked to Aaron most of all, just kind of asking questions. I was thinking about the reckoning, and then the Argali's kind of the same, and there's just differences in pockets. And what's your style? Do you like simple? Do you like taco stand? So we talked a lot. It's just hard when you're trying to order something off the internet, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I talked to Frank, but it was more in the ordering phase.
Right.
So, but the whole team down there
awesome.
Is amazing.
Yeah.
And very customer oriented. If you send Aaron a note on Instagram or text message or whatever, and you have a problem, he'll get back to you within an hour most times. It's crazy.
For sure. Yeah. So. And speaking of Kafaru, Garrett picked up the 8-man teepee tent from them as well, and I think he originally talked to Aaron. Again, he's very accessible by phone and stuff like that. And then Frank took it from there too, as far as getting everything put together and sent up. And then Garrett got the tent. Was it the first day that he had it?
I think it's the first time he set it up.
First time he set it up.
He set it up at a family campground, I think.
And his older brother, his dog, ran into it, ripped a hole in it.
Yeah. Oh man.
So that's since been sent back and repaired. I think they were pretty good through that whole process too. But
Nice.
that's we're lucky that Garrett picked that up because that's going to be our home for this next hunt. So hats off to Garrett for diving in on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, so equipment is something like you can go back. We have like a 2-part episode or 2 episodes, part 1 and 2, of lots of really good gear recommendations that we put the question out to forums and sort of compiled the best recommendations or the most commonly mentioned items and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I always really focus on footwear because if your feet aren't comfortable or if they're wet, like you want to get, I think we both, my boots I think were like $300. Yours were a bit more or somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yep.
So it's expensive.
And you can find them on sale too.
Yeah. But and I think you do too, is take really good care of the boots. So I oil them up like, after every 4th use, basically. If they start to look a little dry, I oil them up with mink oil because they're leather.
Yep.
Yours are a little bit different. Yeah, you
at-
just put one up. You use the Nick Wax, right?
Nick Wax, yeah. Yeah, take care of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then optics, obviously, so you can ID your animals, but depending on what time of year you're going out there, clothing may not be an issue for you. If you're hunting in September, around here you can go out in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, depending on the day.
But if you want to,
where you are, I guess.
if you're getting into higher altitudes, in areas that are wet and cold, then you're going to really want to invest in good layers of clothing, and there's a number of ways you can do that. That's a episode in itself, and our episode actually with Aaron Snyder, I think he went over some of that stuff, so that's a good one to look back on as far as equipment goes.
For sure.
What's next?
Well, we actually had a question here too about, as we're talking about optics. The question was basically Vortex versus Leupold.
Okay.
And I don't think either one of us have experience with Leupold.
No.
Or I think it's Leupold. But Vortex we do have experience with. To me, they seem like, the value proposition. They make a very good product at a reasonable price, and they have an awesome warranty. So I went all out on the spotter. Yeah. I bought a razor. And I don't think I'm going to need anything more than that. Like,
you'll have that forever, man.
Yeah. And it's like razor sharp, pun intended. And you can buy a Swarovski, anything like that, but you're going to pay 2 or 3 times as much.
Right.
And I mean, sure, you're probably going to get a couple notches in quality. Leupold, I'm sure, is amazing too. And I think they may even, a lot of people edge more to the Leupold side.
Right.
They make awesome gear from what I'm told.
Yeah.
I just, I'm happy with Vortex. So.
Yeah, me too. I have no complaints, and the Diamondback binos that we have are affordable. I can't remember how much we paid for them.
Yeah, super affordable. They're like the entry ones,
under
like $250.
$250, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy with those.
For sure.
No complaints. I love them.
And you don't have to worry about them too much. Like, it's not like you're
spending $1,000 on them and
$1,000 or $2,000.
Yeah.
I don't think we're quite there yet.
No. So, favorite animal to hunt?
Based on current experience, I'd say mule deer.
Yeah.
We've hunted an elk, and that was awesome. Neither one of us actually got the shot on it, but it was a 6-day hunt. The 6th day we got the elk. And I'm just thinking more from a terrain perspective. And we have a lot of mule deer country in Kelowna. Yeah. And I like the ability to spot and stalk and use your spotter. And the terrain's really rugged. There's a lot of like cliffs and rock and open grass that they like to hang out on. Yeah. So just for that aspect, I think mule deer is at the top of my list right now.
Yeah, me too. 100%.
Cool.
For the exact same reasons. But that's going to change.
Yeah, once we get into sheep country.
Yeah, we're still fairly new to this, so that'll evolve. But as far as living in the Okanagan and that mule deer hunting, I think is going to be something that we do every single year, and I think it just suits more of our, I don't know, our needs of hunting, I guess, as far as like you said, spot and stalk and being active. And whereas whitetail, you gotta be a bit more still, which I cannot do.
Yeah, it's kind of a product of the environment we have here to hunt in too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we could go out and hunt elk, confidently in the backyard, knowing there's a lot of 6-point out back there, I wouldn't have any complaints about that either.
Yeah.
They're just such an amazing animal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. This is kind of a fun question. We didn't write down any names. We probably should have. So I can't remember who this one was from, but this is the only time we've gotten this question. Is can you eat wolf?
I would say yes.
I think you can eat anything, but from what I've read, much like bears, it really depends on the diet, right?
Yeah.
So an older wolf is going to be eating a lot of rotten, shitty meat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I've heard guys that have taken down a wolf. I'm going to let you say whatever you're thinking because you got a smirk on your face.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, technically yes, but I never would.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, guys who've opened up a wolf to pull the hide off and stuff and said it just smells disgusting.
Yeah.
And because they're eating and they're feeding on dead carcasses, there's always a risk of parasites and who knows what. So if you did decide to eat wolf, cook it really well.
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat it.
No, me neither. And also, I think Ranella, was it Remy Warren maybe? I think it might have been both of them. They actually shot a coyote and ate that. And they said, nice to have tried it, never going to do it again.
Right.
So
this is the flight path I was talking about. This is the second plane that's flown right over our heads.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think the answer is probably you can eat anything that is meat, but you might want to not eat
I don't know.
wolf.
Maybe if you shot a younger wolf, might be a different story.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's all dependent on diet.
I get the sense that question probably comes from like, we got to try to get rid of wolves. Can we eat them? Is that a reason that we can use kind of thing? But I think with wolves, it's just, there's a reason we got to get rid of some in certain areas. And it's, we don't have to eat them. We just kind of got to get rid of them. And they're a fur-bearing animal, so you have to take the hide and stuff anyways. But yeah, as far as meat goes, I don't know.
Yeah. And it varies from province to province and state to state as far as what you have to take.
Yeah.
Here we have to at least take the hide as a minimum.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If you do eat it, whoever sent that question in, let us know how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll pass. This is a question for you, Kelly.
Okay.
Lead versus copper bullets.
I think there's pros and cons to both, and I think you can get by with either.
Yeah.
It's kind of more just whatever. Like you can buy a high quality bullet in either category.
Yeah.
So with the copper bullets, there's some areas and states where they don't allow lead bullets.
Exactly.
Right? So you don't really have an option, and then just try to. I think most of the copper bullets are pretty high end. So those are like pure copper bullets. There's no lead or anything mixed in, and Barnes is an awesome brand for that.
Nice.
But I think most of the brands nowadays produce I think it's monolithic or something like that is what they're called, but basically copper bullet. They're more expensive. Lead's going to be cheaper.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of flip back and forth on this. I ended up going with Nosler AccuBonds. I got 30-06 and I got 180s. So I'm going to sight in 180s AccuBonds, and I'm pretty sure I'm never going to have to change that bullet in my life.
Right.
It might be a little heavy for, your mule deer or whitetail, but
yeah,
I don't know. I would rather, I just don't like switching bullets all the time.
Me neither, yeah.
So that's the route I went, and I figured for a gun that isn't a Magnum, that isn't going to be pushing bullets like extremely fast, because you want expansion on your bullet, And the copper ones, my understanding is, especially the ones without the plastic tip on the front, you need to push them pretty fast to get them to expand. So lead is obviously softer and not as much of a concern.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just, I guess, different technologies, and I don't think you can go wrong with, say, the other interesting thing is they say with copper bullets, you can actually drop your grain.
Okay.
So instead of shooting a 180 grain,
right.
maybe you drop it down to a 168 or something. And you kind of get the same amount of damage.
Right.
And you can push that bullet a little quicker too, the lighter one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the idea of that heavier 180, because if we're going up into sheep country and a grizzly bear pops out, I like the 180. It makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just psychological, but at the end of the day, I don't mind that part of it when it comes down to those situations.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything that gives you a little bit of confidence, right?
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Anything else you want to add to that?
I don't think so.
I think this next one is another question for you. What GPS should I buy?
Well, I only have experience with the Garmin 64S, which is what I have. And it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the question is, do you need a GPS?
Right.
And depending on how far you're going in and what the terrain's like, maybe you don't even need one.
Right.
We didn't really need one. Maybe we never really have, but when we're going up to the sheep hunt, I'm going to be happy that we have that thing. So that I'm stoked we have the GPS, and we have the DeLorme InReach as well, more from a communication standpoint.
Yep.
You can get a DeLorme with a GPS and the communicator functionality, but I don't know if the GPS functionality is as good as the Garmin. I could be wrong. And I'm sure the technology is going to change. Right. But if you're looking for weight savings, maybe it's a good idea to try to find a device that has all that included, right?
Yeah, sure.
So
the thing that I like about your GPS, even though we haven't really needed it per se, is we've got the ability to make marks on there. So like
on the fly.
Yeah. So when we were bear hunting, we were kind of like keeping track of sign and everything, right? So we know like, okay, this is where we've been seeing whatever it might be. Could be deer, could be bear sign, could be anything. And it's just you keep a good record of what you've been seeing and where, and over the years you can kind of track that and it's just a good reference.
Yeah, but it's a good tool.
Yeah, and I think, man, like anytime you and I consider purchasing gear, we spend a lot of time reading reviews and that stuff. There's so much good information out there, and technology's changing every day, so it's hard to recommend something because there's going to be something new tomorrow as well, right? But I think you're right. If you can get a 2-in-1 setup, then go for it.
Because I think, what did I weigh these at? I've been weighing all my gear because of this hunt coming up. And I have a category for electronics. So that is like GPS, DeLorme InReach, batteries, like 4 AA's, 4 AAA's, dark energy, battery charger.
Yep.
And what else?
The Poseidon is great, by the way. We haven't been promoting that at all. They were a sponsor for a brief time, but that thing's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's handy. Cell phone, cords. I think that category is up to about 5 pounds.
Right.
So something to think about if you can consolidate some of those devices. It's definitely not going to hurt in the weight category, and I believe the GPS and the DeLorme InReach are about 200, 250 grams each. Right. So.
Yeah. Every little bit of weight counts.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, this was a question we've gotten quite a few times, but these guys are from Australia. Father and son. It's kind of cool to hear from somebody in Australia. I know we've got a few listeners out there, but nice to hear from these guys. But they're looking at visiting BC early December 2018. So we've still got a year and a half to plan this whole thing. And he's looking to see what hunting opportunities are available for the two of them. So,
yeah, I mean, when I saw the question, I kind of feel bad for him because I didn't have a lot of good news.
Yeah.
Unless he's got deep pockets.
Right.
Right? Because unless he has a relative here that can do the permit to a company and be his guide, he's going to have to go guided.
Yeah.
And that's not cheap.
No.
So, and the other thing is December. If you're going to spend that much money to do a guided trip, I'd advise not to go in December.
Yeah,
unless you're trying to hunt like cougar or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine there's a lot open in December. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah, I would recommend like October
Yeah.
hunt or something like that, and you're definitely going to have to use a guide unless you have family.
Yeah.
So that goes for anybody, even out of province or anyone from the States. Doesn't matter where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have family, you're kind of hooped.
Yeah.
You got to go through a guide, but there's lots of good ones out there, so do your research.
Yep.
Unfortunately, but I think in Australia there's a lot certain species where you and I could just go over there and hunt.
In Australia?
Yeah.
And New Zealand too.
New Zealand, yeah. I don't know that for sure. I shouldn't just guess, but I'm pretty sure.
I think New Zealand.
New Zealand for sure.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, it doesn't go both ways, but.
No, and I wonder if that's why he sent the question, because it's fairly easy.
It's open there.
Yeah. And I think it's all year round for some of those species too. So.
Yeah, I think I'd be planning something September, October.
Yep.
And try to keep it in that frame.
Pay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Should we be treating water for viruses?
Very much dependent on the area that you're in. I don't hesitate. Actually, might not be a good idea, but I've always done it. I've always drank out of creeks, like even without filtering.
Yeah, I think Aaron told us too, like if there is something in there, like beaver fever or whatever. What's the actual name for that?
I think we even have this on the website somewhere. We posted it on, I can't remember what it's actually called though.
Basically the shits, but it won't hit you until you're back home, like 10, 12 days later. So, yeah, I think a lot of people do that.
Here's the thing, man. If you've got like a flowing water source, like a creek or a river, your chances are pretty good that that's going to be a good source of drinking water. If you're going from a still pond or something, like where multiple animals are coming there and using that as their water source as well, there's a good chance they're going to be pissing and shitting in there, and that water is going to be contaminated. So those little tablets that you can get for treating your water aren't going to add a whole lot of weight to your bag. So why not just bring some with you? But for the most part, the filtration systems that we have in BC anyways, we're pretty lucky in that sense, and they're going to be sufficient for what we need. But the time that you don't have those tablets is going to be the time that you're drinking out of a dirty puddle in a survival situation. And
well, I know Aaron uses a couple people use those, what are they called? They're like purifiers, but they're almost like laser beams. You put them in your water and you buzz it. I don't know what they're called, but I've seen them at Cabela's and stuff like that. The interesting thing I read about viruses is that they're very species specific. So it's not like it's going to transfer from a sheep into it's usually going to be a human to a human. So they said you actually have less risk of contracting a virus in North American backcountry anyways, because the amount of human traffic out there is nil. And unless you're setting up in a camp that's like popular and a lot of other people have been, their waste is all over the place, you're probably not going to run into viruses that are going to. So I guess what's the overall story is don't worry about viruses in North American backcountry. Pretty much,
But throw a few tablets in your pack if you want to. Just why not?
Purify.
Giardiasis is what beaver fever is actually called.
Yeah, that's it. Giardia.
What do we got next, Cal?
Stainless versus blued. Oh, we had someone.
Oh,
we should have written names down.
I know we should have. People will know who they were.
Yeah, so he's basically saying, in terms of gun stock, why go synthetic, why go wood, or why go blued and why go stainless, right? What's your thought?
Well, if you're going synthetic, you're gonna shave some weight. I love the look of wood.
Yep.
So I think probably most of my, if I'm going to buy another one,
Mhm.
and all the ones I have now are all wood stock, and I love that.
Yep.
Because I just love the look of wood.
Yep.
And there's character to it. And I feel like, I don't know, there's just, for me, there's something about wood, probably because we're musicians, and I don't know. I just love to see the
It's
wood
like
grain, and
not that I play the violin, but like, it's got that,
yeah,
there's just something about it. It's
Yeah.
alive, kind of.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you've got a synthetic. You got the Tika.
Yeah, and I'm the same way as you. Like, all things equal, I will go for the wood with the blued barrel every
Yeah.
time. Because I just like the classic look and like traditional feel, and
Yeah.
it's just, I feel like you can put it in a frame and put it on the wall.
Yeah.
But I actually bought a synthetic with a stainless because what I was thinking about was, one, weight, maybe shaving a pound off or so. And the other thing was, if it's pouring rain, if it's snowing, if it's whatever,
Yeah,
I
you can-
don't really feel the need to maintain it as
Right.
much. Like, leave it outside beside the tent. I'm not too concerned.
Drop it in a creek and it would be all right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so. But having said that, it's not like a wood rifle is not going to serve anyone.
Right.
It's just that,
It's preference.
look at your own. Maybe look at how you treat your things,
Yeah.
and if you're willing to put in that little bit more effort, it's all up to you.
Yeah. And again, it kind of comes back to the music thing, but like I've got my dad's 30-06, and like the wood is worn, like the finishes come off in some areas, and it's much like a guitar that you've owned for a long time. It's
Mhm.
going to rub where your belt buckle is or where you strum and stuff like that. So it's kind of, it has that character and a story to it. And
Yep.
yeah, that's
Like every scratch has a story kind
Yeah.
of thing.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I know KUIU just came out with a Remington custom rifle,
Yeah.
sheep rifle.
Oh, cool.
It's got like carbon fiber barrel and the KUIU pattern on the
Right.
stock. And I mean, those look amazing too. It's just kind of depends on your style,
Yeah.
really, if you want to get that detailed about your stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. You go to the Cooper Firearms website and look at some of their wood and blued barrel rifles, and it's like pieces of art.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's really an answer to that question. It just depends what you value more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Easy to maintain, maybe lighter, a different feel. Like some people don't like the hollow sound of a
Right.
cheaper synthetic
Yeah.
stock, but the more expensive ones don't really have that sound. It's
Right.
more, and some of them have the speckled paint job that has a little more grip when it's wet.
Right.
Versus wood could be a little slippery. It's probably a little heavier. You need to take care of it.
Yeah.
The temperature changes. It could
Yep.
alter the. You might have to worry a little bit more about sighting it in, but I don't think that's a major. Like that wouldn't just deter me from buying a wood rifle,
No.
unless I was hunting in like Alaska in November or
Right.
something all the time. But
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of
sure.
depends.
Cool. Bear caping process. So we definitely should have wrote down names. This one, I guess the only advice I can give, because we haven't done it, but to explain it on a podcast, number one, isn't going to be the easiest thing. So what I would do is go to Google and search bear caping.
Mhm.
And I actually just did that quickly just now, and like a 9-minute video comes up from a taxidermist that guides you through the whole process. So yeah, we can't really give you any advice, but I would say find those videos, watch them multiple times,
Mhm.
and like, especially if you're going out for a bear hunt or a bear hunt, like what you and I would always do when we were first going out, we'd always look at, say it's the gutless method or field dressing or whatever. I think both of us would always watch whatever video
Mhm.
suited our hunt the next day, so that if that did happen the next day, then it was like still very familiar.
Yeah.
So that you're not second guessing yourself. But on the other hand, if you've done a little bit of research and you've got a good idea, the process is going to reveal itself as you go along. You're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to overthink something like that. And obviously you want to do it right, but just do your research, take your time. You'll do a good job. And your first one, you might make a couple of mistakes or something like that. Might not be perfect, but that's all part of it. And the next time you do it, it'll be much easier.
Mm-hmm. And if you are going to put it on the wall, you're probably the only one that's going to notice the maybe the little mistake you made or whatever. I'm sure the taxidermists are pretty good at fixing the minor things, but with regards to the leave head and paws attached, based on Steve Rinella's book, I would say yes.
Right.
So when you skin it out, keep the head attached, if that's what you want on your rug, obviously.
Yeah.
And he said don't bother trying to skin the paws out. Just skin everything down to the paw and then just cut it off at the wrist and keep that on there, because apparently that's the hardest part to do.
Okay.
Just leave that to the taxidermist.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any idea what that would cost if you brought the whole thing in to get done? I have no idea.
I know I've had this conversation with a couple people, but I can't. I feel like I'd just be throwing a dart.
Right.
I feel like it's like $1,000, and it might take a couple years.
For some reason, I got 800 in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, because I know that we had looked into this at one point too.
Yeah.
But it's going to range.
Get 3 quotes.
Yeah. Shop around. Yeah. So, yeah. Good luck with that one.
What's the next question? We had a question from a hunter.
This one was a little while back. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has. It sounded like pretty severe arthritis in his back, I think.
Yeah.
So he was looking for tips for mobility in the field.
Right.
And this isn't really an easy
answer,
I don't think.
You know what? A friend of Carl.
Yep.
Young guy. He's had arthritis since he was like teenager.
Yeah.
So I can sort of relate to it. Probably should have asked him if he had any thoughts on this one, actually. But I don't know. What do you think, man? I think probably the main thing is choose hunting partners that know the situation and be very honest about it. Don't try and tough it out if it becomes an issue in the middle of a hunt, because the further you get out there, and if you're having a rough time, it's just going to be that much worse on the way back. So I think it doesn't matter what kind of health issue you might have. Maybe you've got a bad knee or something like I think in fairness to yourself and your hunting partners, that you lay it all out before you go and say, hey, this could be an issue. Here's what could happen. Here's what we should do to avoid a bad situation, and don't worry about it.
Yeah, and where there's roads available, like I know BC, you can pretty much drive anywhere for better or worse, but I don't know if you can make yourself comfortable in the truck somehow, even in the back, and just get to a decent spot, right? And once you get there, maybe you don't have to move around too much.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man, but I think it's just knowing your comfort level, how far you can go, and being with the right people that can support you if you're having a tough time. Yeah. You could also do horseback hunting and...
Yeah, I guess it depends on what aggravates it. I don't know if sitting on a horse for that long would be...
Exactly.
I don't know if walking would make it better versus sitting, but...
Yeah. One step at a time, do some smaller hunts.
Yep.
And
I mean, if you go with more... Like, if you go with 2 people, it might be tough, because if you get something, you're probably going to have to share the load, but maybe if you go with 3 or 4 people, then they can shoulder more of that load.
For sure.
If everybody knows there's an issue or whatever.
But yeah, don't let it hold you back. If it's still an option for you to get out there, then do it. But don't put yourself in a shitty situation.
Yeah. Do we engage in foraging? Mushrooms, berries? There's an apple.
Here, you touch them on right now, yeah. I do like going out berry picking. For us, raspberries, huckleberries.
Those are the best.
Yeah, huckleberries are the shit. And salmon berries are pretty common. What else do we have?
What about mushrooms?
Mushrooms.
I've never actually picked. I mean, I remember doing it once in school, just as like a field trip. But
you got to be careful with that shit.
yeah, you do. It's surprising. Actually, if anyone's interested in mushroom picking, Hank Shaw, who we've had on the show, he has a podcast, or he had a podcast. All the episodes are still available.
Yeah.
I don't think he does it anymore.
No, he
but
doesn't.
He does have one episode that's fully on mushroom foraging, picking, or hunting. I think they call it mushroom hunting because they're in different spots. They don't always come up in the same spot. And he has tons of facts. Like, he's taken courses on it. He's taught I think he's taught courses on it. Like, he's pretty close to a pro in that field. So I just suggest checking that episode out.
I think it was at the end of the episode, he recommended a few books for us.
Yep.
I don't remember what they were, but it was at the end of the episode, and it was more for East Coast or West. I can't remember.
That was when he recommended those books, though. One of them, I think he mentioned that if you were in the UK and you want to pick like a morel or whatever, it might be the same species, but it could be poison on that continent and not on this continent, right? So mushrooms are crazy. Yeah. And even the spectrum of known mushrooms to unknown is like 30% known, 70% unknown.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It's a pretty fascinating topic, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, they might be tasty. You might have a wild experience, or you might die.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in between that.
I'm sure there's certain ones like morels, or I don't know. Those ones, if you can find them, might be easy pickings, but
you know what?
Identification-wise.
Yeah. My dog, Oscar, he eats mushrooms like crazy. Mm-hmm. So I should probably just see what he's eating. But they're different too, though. Like, I don't know if I could eat what he was eating or not.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he is really good at finding them and loves to eat them. Like, he even finds them in the wintertime when they're like frozen. He'll dig them up out of the snow and that.
Can make money off him.
I know, he's like a truffle pig. You ever heard of truffle pigs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple dogs that do that too.
We should trade him. I don't know if we have truffles around here.
There's an Italian breed.
But he would eat them.
Yeah.
So it'd be a waste of time.
Bree and I were actually thinking about getting one of those dogs, but they're hard to find.
Oh, okay.
And also, like, I can't imagine what your yard's going to look like.
Yeah. Okay, this is kind of an interesting question. If we're done with foraging, how to behave around cattle when hunting. Up at the Caribou where I had that cabin, there was a ton of cattle up in that area, like free range, or what are they actually called?
Wild.
Well, they're owned by a farmer, but they're able to.
Yeah. Just like open range.
Yeah, exactly. Open range cattle. They can be bastards. They can charge you. They can be aggressive.
Yeah. Well, we had some experience here even.
Yeah.
Because there's some open range cattle up there. Yeah. We're ripping around on even hiking actually. They like to come back to the road and they'll just chill out there in a group of 30. And they're all sitting around their calves and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, well, do I walk by them? Because you're only 10 feet away.
Yeah.
And the cow looked pretty big at 10 feet. Right?
Yeah.
So I was pretty sketched.
Yeah. I have been nervous going through them, but I always find that if I'm sort of like assertive and like just keep my head, like just basically stand your ground and head right through them, they'll leave you around. They might come towards you, but I've never had it go any further than that. Like they'll sort of charge at you a little bit, but they won't go any further than that. So I don't know. Be careful, I guess.
Yeah.
But I've never had and I've never really heard of anybody having a serious issue with them. So
yeah, I mean, if it looks like it's trying to protect a calf, maybe give that one a little more space.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like when I'm walking around those things.
Yeah, for sure. We've had them go at the dogs and stuff like that too.
Oh, okay.
But it's the same thing. They'll charge and then they'll
one
stop.
Step kind of thing. Yeah.
So yeah, and that whole cattle thing is an interesting topic and one we haven't touched. I think we'll stay away from it.
Yeah, it's tough because,
I
mean, you got people making a living and then
They do a
there's
lot
so
of
many
damage,
different
though.
relationships that are happening there, right?
Yeah.
But
They eat a lot of vegetation. They shit and piss everywhere. Like, they're pretty
Mhm.
destructive. So
Mhm.
I don't know from that angle, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that one. Are there elk in northern BC, Vancouver Island? Where else?
Yeah, so this question, I think it came from an earlier episode,
Oh, okay.
because we were talking to Cody Rich, and he said, well, like, what's the elk situation up there? And our answer at that time was, well, you'll probably have to go to the Kootenays, or you can go to, like, Region 1, 2, which is kind of your Vancouver area, and you
Right.
can find some Roosevelt elk down there. It's somewhat limited. But then we had some listeners write in, especially from northern BC, that were like, hey, what about us? And we don't have a lot of experience up there. So I kind of went back into there's a spreadsheet online there about the BC harvest, and
Right.
it splits it out by species and all that kind of stuff, region. So I just focused on the elk, and it actually turns out that Region 4, which is the Kootenays, very high, very productive in
Yeah.
elk, especially back in the day. It may be kind of going in the wrong direction
Right.
now, but it's still kind of a hot spot. The other big one, which is surprising to me, was Region 7, which is northeastern BC, right? Do you have that open?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So it kind of seems like, I can't remember the figures now. I think I sent you a
Yeah, you did.
photo or something, but
Yeah.
it's like in X amount of time, it was like, I think it was since the 90s or something like that. It was like 60,000 elk coming out of this region, 30,000 coming out of that region.
Right.
The Okanagan has probably their third. We have some elk here, and there seems to be getting better. And then the rest, there are some in Vancouver Lower Mainland, Vancouver Island, and other than that, it's
Yeah,
kind of scattered.
I've seen quite a few on Vancouver Island, actually.
Yeah.
And I just quickly looked something up here. This is Roosevelt elk. Of the approximately 3,200 Roosevelt elk residing in British Columbia, over 3,000 live exclusively on Vancouver Island,
Yeah.
which is
There you
pretty
go.
crazy. So,
And that's a completely different species than the Rocky Mountain elk.
yeah. So they're out there
Yeah.
for sure. They are kind of spread all over, but depends on the region.
Yeah, so northeastern BC and southeastern BC, and
Yeah.
I guess central South BC
Mm-hmm.
are your hot spots.
Yeah. And some guys might chime in on that because things change
Mm-hmm.
too. So curious if anybody has any other insights on that. Okay, this was one we got pretty recently on Instagram. The girl reached out, and I think she mentioned that she appreciated that we had a few female guests.
Mm-hmm.
And she's wondering where to find groups. She's out of Kamloops, BC, and where women can get involved. So I think it's a bit harder as a female hunter to really like find your community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually know any girls that hunt. Rachel Attila, we had on the podcast, she's pretty accessible, I think, and she might have some ideas as far as who you could contact to
Mhm.
get something started. But I think the best thing you could do is, if you're having trouble finding a group, is to start a group. Social media is such a great way to connect with people. And even if she wanted to start a podcast or something like that, because you and I started this thinking that you and I were in a unique situation where we're getting into hunting late in the
Mhm.
game. What turns out that a lot of people are doing the exact same thing as us. So if she's asking this question, I bet you there's hundreds of other girls or females that are asking the exact same thing, and they just need to connect the dots. But
Mhm.
anytime there's any sort of convention or anything like that, that'd be a good place to go out and meet people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I feel like social media and forums are such a powerful tool as far as meeting people and getting advice. And
Yep.
Hunt BC forum would probably be a really good one for her to go on to and see if she can get a group of girls lined up in Kamloops in the area and
Mm-hmm.
just meet up and talk about hunting and line up hunts. And I don't know.
Yeah, just kind of drive it.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of feel like hunting is one area where there's a need for like new people to kind of step up and change the message, right?
Yep.
And it's nothing against anybody. It's just even with the fishing game clubs, a lot of people don't find that. I don't know. It's just hard to kind of go and get into those groups because I kind of feel like the marketing or maybe the way they're presenting themselves to the youth and the women and new hunters might have to change a little bit. And
Yeah.
I think some are doing a better job than others in that category. But I don't know. I mean, it's a matter of going to your local fish and game club and saying, hey, I'm one of these hunters.
Yeah.
A female hunter. I don't feel like there's a big community around. Can I start something within your
Yeah.
thing, right? Like maybe she can start like a female's night or a women's
Totally.
night or something.
Yeah.
Or
And much like what Jesse has been doing with is doing the under 40 meetups at
Yeah.
a bar. We just have beers and talk about whatever issues are on the table, and it's great. You get to meet some young guys that are out there kind of
Yep.
doing the same thing we are. And
because he's not really getting that turnout at some of the bigger
yeah, it's
meets, right?
the town
So-
halls are sort of overrun by the older folks, which is totally fine, but
Yeah, but it's only you kind of get one perspective,
one opinion. Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
think Jesse's awesome that he's trying to get different opinions from different demographics.
Yeah. And it's cool because the younger generations are more keen to make changes where the older folks might be stuck in their ways a little bit.
Yeah. I think Jesse made a good point about the just like the perspective you're coming from, right? Like if you have all the history of what's happened over the last 40 years,
Yeah.
sometimes it's an advantage actually not to have that history at all,
Right.
right? And just go into it fresh and just take it from now forward. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Was there any other questions you wanted to throw in here? We get a lot of sort of basic ones that I think we've covered, and we've got a lot of good information on our website too that people can check out, therookihunter.com.
For sure.
We've got all of our gear recommendations, and all that stuff is sort of tried and true and things that we've used a lot, and we wouldn't put anything up there if we didn't recommend it and have put lots of time in with it. So
I'm
yeah.
thinking maybe as we get closer to this hunt too, we can focus a little more on gear
Yeah.
and what we're doing in particular for this hunt. Maybe
For sure.
a little bit of a breakdown of what we're packing
Yeah, definitely.
and why and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe what we're cutting and why.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the challenge for us here as we get ready for this hunt, is to eliminate stuff rather than bringing more. And I'm anxious I'll be back at my place finally. It's been, it'll almost be 6 weeks that I've been away from my house, which is crazy. But I'm anxious to get my pack out, make a list of everything I have, what I might need. I do want some outer layers that can handle wet weather. That's sort of the big thing for me. Also, a sleeping pad is another thing I need to focus on. And then just eliminating weight between all three of us. We got to share the load.
Yep.
Because we've got the teepee tent and the stove and all that stuff to bring in with us. So shave as much weight as we can.
Which I think the 8-man with the stove is 7 pounds or something.
Well, it's not
I
bad.
don't think it's very heavy.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yep.
I'm stoked. So yeah, that's coming up last week of September, which is not far away. And rabbit season started yesterday.
Yep.
So you and I should get out maybe on the weekend or something like that or whatever.
Yep.
It'd be fun to go out and get some rabbits.
For
and
sure.
You got a fishing trip coming up too.
Yep. 3 weeks from now. Well, 2 weeks from now, actually.
Wow.
I'll be going over to Vancouver Island for a salmon, halibut, lingcod
Nice.
fishing trip.
Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome. It's 4 day of fishing.
Yeah.
So I might do a bit of a phone podcast from the boat.
You're going to do it.
You can do...
You said it now, Kelly. It's
Yeah.
got to happen.
So you can have 3 people in a boat plus the guide.
Yeah.
And so it'll be me, my dad, and my father-in-law
Nice.
in a boat. So,
Sweet.
yeah,
Randy,
it'll be
who's
awesome.
been on the podcast before.
Yeah, Randy's been on. My dad hasn't been on, so it'll be good to get him on.
Yeah.
He went on the same trip last year, so he's got some experience. And
Cool.
I know Randy goes. He kind of does the do-it-yourself thing every year.
Right.
So this is his first, I
Guided.
think, fully guided
Cool.
offshore fishing trip. So
Sweet.
he's going to be pampered compared to
Right.
what he usually does. But they're always successful, so
Nice.
we'll have a good crew.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just looking to our to my right here. It's a nice moon coming up, and
Yeah.
fuck, we're lucky to live here. I think
Yeah.
the goats went to bed.
Nice.
Cool, man.
No questions?
Yeah,
Oh, they don't have any questions.
nothing. Throw some grain in there, make them go crazy for the last bit here.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. It's just good to be back.
Yeah,
We'll try to get this stuff going again. Summer's always tough, but yeah.
we've got some guests lined up, but no dates planned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bunch that we're excited about, and names that will be familiar to some of you guys, and that. So, yeah, and lots of cool stuff coming up as usual. So, thanks for patiently waiting for another episode,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll be back within next week and a half or something. We'll try and line up another interview here, or you and I can just get together, see what happens. But yeah, stoked to be here again.
Definitely.
And nice to see downloads. We're still continuing during our hiatus. And please keep the iTunes reviews and ratings coming through. And don't be shy. Send an email through our website on our contact page, or to the rookiehunterpodcast@gmail.com.
Awesome. Talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, cheers. Hang on. We're back. I forgot that I was going to switch it up just because we've sort of like rebranded the podcast a little bit, and taken a different, not too much, but just with the new logo. So I thought we would end on something different, and I'm going to play some original music for you guys. It's from a band called Tiger Moon. The song is called Above the Pines, and this is the one. Some of you guys might have seen some of the photos. I think I posted at least one of some of the taxidermy jobs that were done in the place where I recorded this album. It's called Barkerville, which is a really cool town. Have you been to Barkerville?
No, but I'm not taking my taxidermy there.
No, there was actually some cool ones, which was there was caribou, there was a big moose, and then there was the I think it was a mule deer. I can't remember, but like the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
I'm sure
in my
there's a
life.
taxidermist there that's doing good work.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know who did the ones in that hotel.
Oh my
but
God. Terrifying. Anyways,
Look like mummies.
yeah. So the album I produced and engineered with the band, and we record in these churches that are like 148 years old, and also an old theater for this one. So a lot of heritage. They're basically the town is actually older than Canada, and at the time it was built, it was the largest city north of San Francisco and east of Chicago, which is pretty wild. So it was all during the gold rush, and a forest fire started, and the whole town burned down, like, I don't know, 6 years after they built it, and they rebuilt the thing right away. And those are the buildings that we were recording in, which are, I think, like I said, 148 years old or something like that. So the album has a very cool, authentic, and unique sound to it, and it was sort of rings true to being outdoors and doing something different. And
Cool.
yeah, I hope you guys dig it.
Yeah, give them a little bit. Like, let it play out.
Let it play out. Yeah, you'll like it. The little like country folky kind of stuff. So I think
Cool.
you guys will dig it. But yeah, it's Tiger Moon. They're on Bandcamp and all that stuff. There's my plug for these guys. I love them. They're like family, so I hope you guys dig it. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
I'm above the pines, living in the clouded skies. He's a man you'd think was pushed to the brink, but he's been doing just fine. He's been sowing hay about every goddamn day, and the alpine earth has proved its worth as he's still farming away. He said goodbye to his folks, this world is just a hoax. He said I'm moving north, I think I'll find myself a source. One day up above the pines, a girl was tying twine, and he wanted to see if she'd marry he, and they'd have themselves a time. After 6 years she had stayed, they had their wedding day. There was no one there but the vacant stairs of the livestock chewing hay. Said goodbye to his folks, this world is just a hoax. He said I'm moving north, I think I'll find myself a source. I think I'll buy myself a horse. Stayed in town, the couple never came down, and the happy souls stayed on their road till they fell back in the ground. He said goodbye to his folks, this world is just a hoax. He said I'm moving north, I think I'll find myself a source. He said goodbye